If you're going to name figureheads out there and top figures of the Call of Duty League and Call of Duty in general, HECZ and Hastr0 certainly have to be on one of your top lists. So when they talk about feeding and watering the league and what the league might need for the future of both Call of Duty and Call of Duty Esports, I'm certainly going to listen. That brought to us also by Monte Cristo. I will link this full, very insightful episode down below for all of you guys. But a main point I wanted to bring up is what Call of Duty League can do for the future and everything around it that might be done to see this game continue to grow, and that being the main focus of the game itself. The Call of Duty brand that's been around for years and years and years, have seen tens, if not hundreds of millions of players worldwide, and how the game itself needs to also push the esports side of things. And I could not agree more with what HECZ and Hastr0 had to say.
We haven't even really, I don't think we've really leveraged the game that much at all. Overwatch too, you know, is another example. I mean, imagine if in the next Call of Duty title, right, when you log into the game, you go download the game for the first time, and you are about to play for your first games, and you load up the game, and it says, you know, when you're creating your profile in the next Call of Duty, pick your favorite CDL team, you know, and then they start, you know, creating content for our teams in the game and advertising the league in the game. I mean, League of Legends is benefiting from almost 10 straight years of advertising esports in the League of Legends game client.
Esports, basically.
Yeah, here's the thing, man. Somebody clip this and put it on the internet. If you're a game developer and you're listening, put esports in your game. Oh, sorry. Is it too loud?
A little loud. But here's the other thing that could be
I just
really.
want to get it across there, money. Hold on.
Yeah, go.
Yeah,
If you're a game developer or publisher, and you want your game to be successful in esports, advertise it in the game.
At the beginning, that was part of one of the conditions on this thing too, right? We said, all right, again, this is a partnership. You need to be as supportive of this as we are going to be supportive of this thing. The amount of money committed to this thing, the amount of hours, man hours worked on this thing, and women hours worked on this thing. Like this isn't something that you just brush off and you just let it go and watch it grow. No, you got to water this thing. You have to, you know, bring your own pail and dump that water in yourself.
But just imagine that, right?
Yeah.
Of CDL broadcasts and streams being pumped right there when you load up the game. You know, pick your favorite team. Here's our shop. Here's our team shop. Buy gear and different skins and premium skins and so on for these teams. And you know, we have to do our part. Hector and I. Hector's certainly done a lot of that, engaging with his community over the years. But you know, we have our part to do, and so do the devs and the publishers and advertising the leagues, and I think they'll help us along the way.
When it comes time for comparing this to other esports out there, yeah, they are correct. Call of Duty, especially with the manpower, the player base they have, the fact they are not promoting their own events, it's pretty crazy. I think they also make further great points later on in the same podcast about YouTube figuring their stuff out. We are just now figuring out YouTube, by the way, acquiring broadcast rights for the Overwatch League and the Call of Duty League, just now figuring out drops, which we've already seen a pretty good increase in viewership after they figured that out. Imagine they figure out the algorithm for searching this stuff as well, and the fact that Call of Duty themselves now has Warzone and their main game, which is the main breaking point here, guys. Tens of millions of players to check out that game. All of a sudden on the home screen, if you see Call of Duty events live on that home screen, it might not be a gigantic bump, but it's something in the right direction where I do think the potential for COD viewership to grow is certainly there. We compare this to other games. Fortnite, you know, they do it here and there. Fortnite very heavily, in my opinion, market and skin-based. They promote their Cash Cup events or their Daily Cup events pretty well. When it comes time for their tournament scene, they do well viewership-wise, because when it comes time for broadcasting, any player can broadcast those tournaments, which is still a rarity when it comes time for being compared to Call of Duty or League of Legends or Counter-Strike. By the way, when it comes to League of Legends and Counter-Strike, they do a very good job of promoting their esports and competitive side to all of their casual player base, something Call of Duty just does not do near as well. Counter-Strike, by the way, just in the past year finally implemented this on their main home screen. They have a tab now for the tournaments and live matches. It might not help that much, but it's a step in the right direction and at least a little bump of the casual players out there who maybe had no idea. Maybe they just found out they're a fan of FaZe Clan, NRG, Evil Geniuses, Liquid, Fnatic, whoever it might be, and all of a sudden they check out that tab they might not have clicked before, and they might tune in for a match or so. It's just that incremental step in the right direction that other esports are doing, and these guys are so right. Call of Duty is not, and when it comes time for having a gigantic main player base, Call of Duty is up there. Once they figure it out alongside YouTube to push their audience in the right direction, I do think Call of Duty League could be, a pretty big staple, not only for the franchise itself, but for the game itself. If they can work a way to counteract each other and work with each other, this could be a big thing.
Yes and no. Obviously, you can't ignore the fact that the live community on Twitch is massive, but there's a lot of misconception that says that that YouTube doesn't have the same, if not better, numbers when it comes to live programming. Call of Duty is in the DNA of gaming entertainment on YouTube.
Right.
YouTube has gained a lot from the early Call of Duty community. If you look at all the major, I would say conservatively, 75% of all of the major, PewDiePies of the world started in Call of Duty. You know what I mean? And they did, right? It was Call of Duty, then Machinima, that blew it up, and then we continued to do the thing for years on end, every single year. And before, where we were, our downfall is the fact that we get a brand new game every single year. That was also our fuel, because every single year we got to make the same videos that we've been making for 5 years, but just on a different map with a different weapon in the same game, in the same universe, if anything, to continue to create the content. Since it's been in its DNA since its inception, I think that it's for the long run. I mean, if you look at the numbers now, right? Like if you look at old school matches, they didn't get as many views as they get now, right? Like we're talking about 1 million views per tournament now, not including the live or including the live viewership as it goes along, but I think it fits. It's a perfect fit. Obviously VOD on YouTube is reigns supreme, and eventually at some point I think that live on YouTube is gonna be the it.
But one last great point that was also made is Call of Duty being hit or miss year by year. Something no other esport has to deal with is a brand new title, a brand new game, brand new mechanics, weapons, attachments, so on and so forth. Pretty big changes, right? It's not just a simple Fortnite map change, which they can revert the next week in a new patch. This is a brand new game where you really can't change it back to old titles. That's just not how it works, and you're stuck with it for the entire year until next one is released. When it comes time for Call of Duty League, that might be the make or break point, which, yes, they also point out could be a big issue. So you could have some great years because it could be a great title and a great game, but you could have a huge fall off of a year if the game somehow, it's possible, just sucks. And so Call of Duty continues to be in a very, very weird spot compared to other esports out there. Can they figure it out? And can publishers actually try and work with the Call of Duty League and push that as well? And now we have Warzone, which seems to be here for a good amount of time, comparing Battle Royale audiences. If you're not a fan of Fortnite, you might be a fan of Warzone, and vice versa. They are definitely there to stay, as I think we now have confirmations for future Call of Duties. Warzone's going to be the COD Battle Royale, at least for the time being. So what do you guys think about this? How can Call of Duty League can improve? I think there are many options. Can they take advantage of those options is the giant question. Until next time, drink your water, drink your coffee. I'll catch you guys back here sometime soon.